and doing well by the grace of God. So Birla High is a family school for us. So very happy to connect with parents here, and it is really rewarding for me as a teacher, as an educator, when even today my class 3 and 4 students come up to me and greet me wherever they see me, and sometimes on Facebook they connect and revisit all the experiences that they built in those early years. So early years, these years are extremely important. So as educators, as parents, we all realize that. And now our government has also realized, and we are so happy that the NEP, the new educational policy, has formally recognized early childhood education. And there is lots that we can do to improve in this field. So now that we are sitting here and talking and discussing, so this is, in itself is an example of how important this period is for the child. And we as educators, as parents, we have a common binding factor, and that is this little child, the youngest citizens, the littlest citizens of our country. So yes, these are very tough times. All of us are concerned, all of us are confused, and children are even more so. For them, it is not easy for them to understand the situation, not easy for them to understand why they can't go out to play, why cooped up in the house, why are parents insisting on so many different things. And then on top of that, they're exposed to news, they're exposed to various views that parents and adults may be sharing in front of them. So there is overall confusion. And then luckily or unluckily, the summer holidays, they coincided with the lockdown period. So for that time, perhaps they thought that, oh, it's a great holiday, an extended holiday. And but now they are wanting to get back. They are seeing that lockdown is over, parents are going out of the house, and what is actually happening to them? Why are they being in the house? Why can't they meet their friends? The other day I was visiting, monitoring my school's classes, and there I saw this little child, an innocent 5-year-old, asking the teacher, "Ma'am, why can't we come to school? We want to come to school. I want to come and have tiffin in the school. I want to meet my friends." So these kind of questions are being raised by children now. They're asking their parents as well. They're wanting to go out and play in the parks. So how do we convince them? How do we help them to overcome this anxiety? Dear parents, dear educators, it is extremely important that we help children to recognize their feelings. They have to understand, we have to understand that it's okay for them to be upset, but if they are upset, let us first try to ensure that they are calm. Behavior, expression of behavior, I'm sure the psychologists here and the doctors here also will agree with me that the expression of behavior is extremely important. First, let us make them calm, and then let us think about all the activities and other things that we can engage them with. Yes, their structure, routine has really changed. Things for them have taken a complete turn. They are now used to a different kind of a routine. So parents, I suggest and I request that please have a routine for them. Do not get into that holiday mood. It's okay, but at the same time, we need to be flexible. We need to understand that once in a while, children will have their moods. So again, don't let the battle of wills be there. Supposing in your routine, the child has to get up at 6 o'clock or has to, clean the room between 5 to 6 p.m. So one day, maybe he's not in the mood. That's okay. All of us are in that kind of a situation. We also have our moods. So children are even more moody. So allow that flexibility. Don't engage in those meaningless battles. Let us concentrate on something better. And you can explain to them rationally that, okay, today you're not in the mood, so tomorrow we will do this. So children with logical explanations, they understand and they are able to come out of that situation and help. So if a child comes to you feeling upset, so when you recognize that the emotion is that of the child is not feeling happy, so at that time, let him become calm, and then ask him what is it that upset him. Because at that time itself, if we start asking and if we start questioning children, they are not really able to answer, and then again it becomes a long drawn out battle. So instead of that, once they are calm, then we can speak to them and ask them. And also you can engage in a play, a game. You can have the deep breathing exercise at that time. But if you say that, come on, let's do the deep breathing exercise when the child is feeling upset, then he's not going to do it. So instead of that, make it into a game play. Have a cushion or a teddy bear put on the child's stomach and tell him to breathe in and breathe out, and see how that stomach goes up and goes down, and let him count how many times it goes up and goes down. So there is a diversion, and the child at the same time is doing the deep breathing exercises, and you have attained what you wanted to achieve. So the child becomes calm again. A few activities are really good for children at this age, from 3 to 5 years. I think that is the age that we are addressing right now. So coloring, it is a wonderful activity. If you give them some sheets to color, they can express their imagination. Even drawing, just give them something to scribble and draw whatever they come up with. So that gives their manifestation of their inner self. And then have a little conversation built around it. Question them, ask them what they have drawn, what they are wanting to say, or what they're wanting to express. So those kind of starters, conversation starters, they help to build the language. So in this age, we generally look at language development, then their emotional, cognitive, and physical development. So for physical development, there are various activities also. And now is the age when you can concentrate on their pre-writing exercises, because we need to build their hand and eye coordination. So these drawing and coloring is one such exercise. It may seem a very commonplace activity to do, but it is a wonderful activity for them. And then you can do sorting. This is something which is there easily available in the house, all the dals, beans, rajma, chana. So have them mix them together in a bowl, give the children separate bowls, and set up this activity for them, and they can just separate those out. So these kind of activities are good for their hand and eye coordination and sorting, and also involve them in household chores. Simple things like watering the plants, or laying the table, then helping you to sort out laundry. So this is again where you can bring in the development of the skills without actually doing something very formal about it. So have the pairs of the socks that are there. So just ask a child to separate the socks. And when he's separating the socks, then ask him to match them. And after they are matched, then, ask them to match them according to the colors or according to the size. So these kind of activities help children to develop their various skills. And other than the household chores, there are some games that can be played, some word games for the language. We need to build the language skills at this time. So various games like word association. As a parent, you can play. You don't need resources for that. You need a little bit of time, sit together and involve and engage the child. a child, for example, you start off with animals, like you say cow, and the child will say something associated with the cow. So he can say calf or milk, and then the next word you say something associated with milk. So like that, it goes on. Then opposites, far, near, up, down. So these kind of simple games, simple activities, they can be played randomly. You don't need to sit down formally and start discussing with them. And of course, songs and rhymes. They are again a wonderful tool both for the teachers as well as for the parents to build up so many skills in children. Along with the rhymes, if you have them doing actions, so here you are having build up their various kinds of memories. And then there are directions, like songs like teddy bear turn around. So the child is moving as well as he's listening to directions. And so there is a set of skills which is being developed along with this simple little rhyme. Then also there are, what you can do is you can have a bingo chart prepared for activities. By bingo chart, I mean you can have different activities put up, like whatever the child is doing in the house, like clean my room or watering the plants or laying the table, and then let the child tick mark those activities that he has done or which are left. So that gives him a sense of purpose and involvement, and he feels happy. Then also simple things like treasure hunt, you can set that up in the house, or you can have an indoor picnic. Why not? Children are not able to go out these days. So why can't we have a picnic? And children they love picnics. So help them to prepare the picnic basket, make a menu, sit down with the whole family. And if there are not too many people in the house, you can have an online picnic along with the grandparents who are living maybe far away, or some cousins, or even their friends. So that way you can even play online games. There are wonderful platforms now like this Zoom, where we are able to connect through such wonderful platforms. So these are some of the things that can be done. You can think of, there are many others. You can think of a lot of activities. And the main idea is that we have to do shared learning. The parents now, it is really hats off to the parents, because they are working, there's so many other things to do, but along with that, they are involved in the learning of children. And that this is actually a boon for all of us, and also for the parents, because they are now able to realize that what is being done, and how much their child has learned, and from where they can move forward. And kudos and hats off to the teachers who have taken to this online learning at in such a short time, things which would have taken years to build or years to try to understand with training and etc. Without much of that, they just dived into it and have taken it up so well. And of course, the school managements and those people who are guiding, it is their proactive approach also, which we need to thank for. So I think my time is up. So lots to talk about, but it is so wonderful connecting to you parents. If you have any questions, we can address them at the end of the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for your insightful words and guidance. And I'm sure parents surely have few questions for you and also for the other panelists today. So I would request all parents, please make use of the chat box and put your questions there. At the end of the session, we will surely address those. Thank you so much, ma'am. Over to our next speaker, Mrs. Ranjana Roy. After completing her master's in psychology with specialization in counseling and child psychology from Utkal University, she worked for 7 years as a counselor and did intensive in-house training in the KPG Center and TX Center for Chemically Dependent People. She has more feathers in her cap as she bagged a diploma in counseling from Christian Counseling Center in Vellore. Her expertise varies from treating patients in de-addiction center to catering to school children and general masses. She worked with SNEH, a famous NGO working with schools in Kolkata and Bhubaneswar, and worked as a counselor with school children as well as parents. And then in the year 2000, she joined Sushila Birla Girls School as a counselor on a part-time basis. She simultaneously worked with DPS Ruby Park and also with J.D. Birla Institute of Management. The list is unending, as she also worked as a counselor at the Franklin Institute of Air Hostess Academy as a personality development faculty. Currently, she's a full-time member of Sushila Birla Girls School, guiding and counseling students and parents. You're welcome, ma'am. And now over to you.
A very good morning to all of you. Before I begin, I would like to thank Mrs. Singh and the management for having me here on this platform today. Unlike other pandemic, COVID-19 is said to be different, particularly when it comes to age, with the older people at higher risk, while those below 18, catching a semblance of epidemiological break, with exception, of course. If COVID-19 is sparing kids, it is not kind to their minds, because nobody is immune to the stress that comes with a pandemic and quarantine. And the little ones are shaken as they cannot express their thoughts, their feelings clearly. Kids are resilient and they tend to bounce back from adversity, but the tragedy and the trauma of any experience, negative experience, can leave a mark on the kids. We have been in this isolation since end of March. Yes. Lack of structured schooling, inability to socialize, play with friends, and the potential loss of our loved ones, if any, have changed our world and will have a long-lasting mental health implication. We do not know, parents, we do not know for how long this will last. However, I would like to stress on the fact that parents, caregivers can play a significant role in preventing long-term mental health issues in children. For this, parents, it is very, very important for you to take care of your emotional and mental health. I would like to remind you of your travel in the aircraft, where the crew tells you to wear your oxygen mask first before helping others. It is similar over here. So whatever I'm going to say, I hope you have a pen and a writing pad with you, because you might feel that what I'm saying, yes, some of it and you might find some ideas new, but you will soon forget. So please keep jotting down points that you feel you can implement. The first and the most important point is to bring normalcy and avoid boredom by keeping a healthy routine. And that routine has to be flexible yet predictable, because this kind of routine creates a sense of order in our lives. Now, your children, they are small, they will not be able to read. What you could do is use pictures, small pictures. Maybe make a collage wherein you have put a picture of a brush, which says that after waking up, she's supposed to brush, and then, food, so she's supposed to eat, and then picture of a book, she's supposed to sit for her online class. Okay, so the child also knows what she is expected to do at any given point of time. Have a me time, parents, in that schedule. Okay, please do not feel guilty. A me time can be when you are sitting all by yourself with your cup of coffee or juice, right? You all need it. During the pandemic, it is more important than before to maintain your bedtime and other routine. Because, if you look back, your child, whenever he was ill or stressed or unhappy, you must have noticed that he had difficulty in falling asleep. Okay, so don't change your sleeping time. Just because the next morning you don't have to wake up early does not mean you will go to bed very, very late. Okay, so at this point of time, I would like to tell you to remember 3 B's. That is brush, with a book, go to bed. Okay, so get the child into a habit of listening to stories. Yeah, so that is very, very important. You can also put a family picture near the child's bed for extra comfort. And now, during this lockdown, parents, we are all wearing multiple caps. The mother is not only a mother, she is a wife, she is a daughter-in-law, she is a teacher, she is a cook, she is a maid, and fathers, yes, they are also helping simultaneously, right? So encourage your child to play board games. Ludo. Here I would like to stress upon Ludo because it has a number of benefits. Your child will become familiar with the numbers. The child will learn to wait for his turn. The child will learn to win and lose a game. The child will learn that there are obstacles in the path, and just as you come down, there are ladders that will take you up. Right? So one board game, Ludo, is very, very useful for children. Mindfulness meditation is very important. Okay, you can go to www.horizonholisticcenter.co. I will put it up in the chat box once I'm through. You can go to this site. It has got mindfulness meditation for kids. They just have to listen and follow the instruction. Parents, I would suggest you also do it with them. Okay, you will feel good. Walking exercise at home. Now you're not being able to go to the gym. We don't have, all of us don't have that place to exercise. So simple walking exercise can help. Go to YouTube and type walk a mile, walk 1 mile. Yeah, and it is a lovely, one lady, she is doing this exercise with a group. You can just put this on during your convenient time and participate. You will enjoy, your kid will enjoy. They're very small babies, okay, and it is just a walking exercise. They will love it. During this time, parents, we are all feeling low at times, and it is important to focus on the positive. Developing an attitude of gratitude. See, nobody wants this quarantine, this COVID to continue, but we have no choice, do we? So why not make the most of it? From now, help your child develop an attitude of gratitude. Play this glad game with your child. What is it that is good, that happened today? And point out one thing, maybe the very fact that the family is together, we should be grateful for that. We are getting 4 square meals a day. That is good. We have a roof over our head. That is good. We can attend online classes. Okay, so help the child appreciate what is there in the child's life and thank God for it. You also participate in it. Your brain will absorb the positive around you. Encourage social interaction. Mrs. Sood has already spoken about the tent, the picnic, all that. So I will not repeat it. You know, children worry for the elderly family members. So get them to talk. They will not be able to send message, but encourage them to send voicemail, okay, voice messages to the family members, to their friends. Get them to connect with their Montessori friends, with the Montessori teachers, and find out how they are doing. Okay, use positive discipline. Parents, lockdown does not mean lockdown of discipline. Keep in mind, children cannot describe their feelings. They are more likely to act out their stress, their anxiety, fears through their behavior that they are doing. Okay, so it is for you to recognize, observe, and recognize what is happening. Involve them in creative play, drawing stick figures of ways your family is staying safe, making collage. Okay, here I would like to tell you certain things. Mrs. Sood told you about coloring. Yeah, use thick crayons. Okay, thick crayons, pencil. Ensure that the child is holding the pencil properly. Okay, the tripod, you know, 3 fingers. And if your child has any difficulty in holding the pencil, use a gripper. A gripper is placed over here. And now if you cannot get gripper, you have got rubber bands at home, just put it over here on the pencil like this. Yeah, and let the child hold over here on the thick rubber band. So the finger will not slip, the grip will be firm, motor skills will be better, right? Now, ma'am spoke about coloring. Yes. Here I would like to stress upon the fact that since your babies have just started schooling, they have started writing, they have started coloring, their motor skills need to be developed well. Yeah. So if you have a smiley ball, the squeeze ball, give it to them, just count 5 and ask them to squeeze it. You can give them clothes peg, ask them to press it. Okay, all this is good for their fingers, arms, you know, hands, the palms. Okay. So these activities are very, very important for their motor skills development. Another thing that you can do is making collage. Make a big circle and tell them to tear paper into small bits and stick within that circle. You know, you can make a big shape, yeah, a star, and ask them to stick it over there, right? So motor skills development, once again, trying to stick those small pieces of paper inside a circle or a triangle, and you can tell them, you know, stick it inside a circle. So they are learning that circle, this shape is called circle, triangle, even without teaching them, you have taught them. Okay. It is very important that disciplining happens properly, right? You can do a 1 minute ignoring activity, which is time out, but let the child know that this is what you have done. You have been, you know, you have hit your sibling, and therefore I am upset with you because she is hurt, and you will sit on that little chair for 1 minute. Parents, please remember 1 minute is a long time for that little one. Okay, so don't make it too difficult for your baby. Confinement has done good for some in strengthening the bonding, whereas it has had a devastating effect in some families. Parents, choice is yours. Please do not turn your home into a battleground. 24/7, you are at home and you don't have any time to unwind. And this is taking a toll on you. right? Which is why at the beginning I had spoken about maintaining a schedule, I had spoken about deep breathing, mindfulness. Cultivate patience, demonstrate respect towards each other, give each other the breathing space. And when your spouse is sharing something with you, does not mean he or she is asking for a solution. You cannot have solution for every problem, but you can just give your spouse a caring, listening ear, yeah, so that he or she can vent out her thoughts and feelings. Disagreement happens in every house, okay? So it is a healthy part of all relationships. Parents, please do not allow abusive language, abusive behavior, mood altering chemicals to creep into your household during this lockdown. You are your child's role model. He is observing you, learning from you. Everything that you are doing is being observed, and like a sponge, he's taking in, right? So during this pandemic, children have been hearing, observing from you a lot. Parents have been transferring their worry. When I was talking to the parents, I was having this webinar. Some parents told me, ma'am, my child is so very anxious about the pandemic. And then I asked the parent, how does your child even know so much to be worried about pandemic? And the parent realized and said, yes, ma'am, I think, we have been discussing too much in her presence. So it is very important, parents, what you are sharing in front of your child, what you are saying, uh, think, will your child understand? You have to go down to his level and explain. Yeah, don't uh, check your phone frequently. Keep a time for yourself. You don't have to read all the forwards that are sent to you, okay? And it is very important to go to reliable source. World Health Organization, yeah, you can go over there and check reliable sites. You will be worried, parents. We are all worried, but don't get swallowed in worry, okay? Validate each other's feelings. Very important for your emotional stability. Validate feelings. Don't try to hide your feelings. Acknowledge, yes, it is difficult time, it is scary, but we as a family will sail through. Educate your child tactfully. Tell your child that following a good hygiene, eating healthy food can help us keep strong, keep fit, keep well. Explain that yes, regular hand washing is important, but we will be little extra careful now and do it little more often. You can also have this game where the child, says, observes how many times Papa is, touching his nose or his mouth. Okay, keep counting. Papa, your second time. Okay, so and it is great fun. Parents, another thing that you can do is, now I think we will spend a lot of time with this mask on. This will become a part of our uniform. Yeah. So guess, play this game of guessing. Is Papa smiling? Wear the mask. Is Papa smiling or is the baby smiling? Okay, because when the children come to school, I do not know when. I do not know whether the masks will be on or not. So let us make it easy for the child. It should not come as a shock later. Why is it that we have to go to school with a mask on? And your child has to learn to identify emotion even with the mask on. Okay, so you can play this game also. Remember, your child would need reassurance from their trusted adult. Address your child's fears. Answer queries that your child has in a simple way. Recognize your child's feelings. Model ways of managing it. It can be something very simple. You can say that, I'm scared of your grandmother. She's staying far off. And then say, what I can do is I can call her morning and evening, and I'm going to set a reminder on my phone. So you are stating the problem, you are stating the solution, and you are also telling the child what you're going to do to remind yourself. Okay. It is very important, parents, for those of you who are stepping out of your house now. Some of you are going, for marketing. Some of you have joined office. Yeah. Please talk to your son in a calm, reassuring way. Tell your children that you are going out. You will take necessary precaution, and by what time you will return home. Okay. So the child has to be reassured. Parenting during pandemic, or how you choose to parent your child, will be the indicator of whether your child will be stronger, whether your child will come out of this trauma, or the child will be affected on a long-term basis. Right? So a lot depends on you, how you are speaking, what you are doing at home. Since we have no control over the situation, why not utilize it to the best? Work on your bonding, be a good role model. Okay. And once the threat of the pandemic subsides, parents, very important, you should continue to pay attention to yourself and to your child's emotions. Look for signs of lingering trauma. It can be withdrawal, it can be fear, it can be anxiety, it can be sleep disturbances, eating disorder. Do check out for resources from reliable source. Take help, talk to a mental health professional at your school, outside school. Please do not hesitate to seek help if needed. Remember, this is a temporary phase and it will pass. Stay content, try your best to stay happy. Click pictures with your children, with your family, and make memories of this phase. When you will grow old and your children will get married, you can make memories and share this with your grandchildren. Yeah. Navigate safely through this phase. Things will fall into place very soon. Yeah. So thank you. If you have any sharing, any queries at the end of the session. Yeah. So before I end, one more point, I just had this written. Suman ma'am was talking about activity, yeah, laundry, sorting. I would like to add, for motor skills development, make your child, fold small towels, handkerchief, okay? Ask your child to help in the kitchen. Bring me 4 red tomatoes and 2 potatoes. The child is learning numbers, the child is learning colors, the child is learning to follow instruction, the child is helping you in the kitchen. Right. So, all the very best. Stay safe, take care, turn this into a memorable, enjoyable time. It will pass. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mom. That was indeed amazing. And I'm sure your pearls of wisdom will definitely guide our parents to the right direction. Now I would like to call upon Dr. Vedant Shah. Dr. Shah works as a vitreoretina consultant at Sri Netra Eye Foundation, Kolkata. His special interests include diabetic retinopathy and retinopathy of prematurity. He is an executive member of the Young Ophthalmologists Society of India and the chairman of the West Bengal State chapter of the same. He is also a member of the National Academy of Medical Sciences, India. Dr. Shah completed his MS in ophthalmology and DNB from the esteemed Arvind Eye Hospitals in Madurai, India, and worked as a consultant at Arvind Eye Hospitals, Madurai, before coming back to Kolkata. You're welcome, sir. And now over to you.
Thank you so much. I would like to share my screen.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
You can share your screen, sir. Yes.
yeah, so is my
Starting.
screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Right, it's visible, sir.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to thank Ms. Nayan, Director, Principal, Ma'am, and the headmistress and all the other fraternity and the management of Birla High School. Beginning as a student and now as a panelist, coming back, revisiting the school, definitely it's an honor for me. A lot of things have been covered and extremely beautiful ideas have been shared by Ma'am Sood, who is also my teacher, and Miss Roy. So I think Miss Roy was also there when I was a student there in Birla High School. A lot of ideas have been put forward, but considering the situation that we are in and the online classes that have been happening, I think it is important to share also the basic practices that we should take care of, especially when it comes to eyes. And so I would like to stress upon digital eye strain here. So as we have discussed, there are a lot of positives, and I must congratulate all the fraternity, especially the teachers, for continuing their education, maintaining contact with their students and parents. This has not only been a positive side of this pandemic, it has also improved a lot of other things, such as improving the technical skills. We would not have expected our children to sit in front of the laptop or the screen. Maybe also help them to stay connected with their parents, with their teachers, with their grandparents, relatives. So these are definitely one of the positives, and we should always look at the positives of what we are going through. Considering the negatives that we have, definitely as teachers, it is very difficult to get adequate student feedback. Development of skill is definitely a challenge. Fine hand movements, as Ma'am Roy was saying, considering the pencil grip is definitely important in this initial period. So these small skills that we have to impart are going to be difficult as we train them over these online classes. There's a definite reduce in physical training. There is a social isolation at this time when kids are most active. They learn about the social intricacies, they learn about the social well-being, they learn about how to interact with teachers, friends, parents. It's very difficult and unfortunate that they are being stuck at home. So last but not the least, what I'm going to talk about is the computer vision syndrome. So this computer vision syndrome is a common phenomenon which usually happens in the age group between 20 to 40, especially in the IT professionals. And but what I have been seeing and what I've been observing in this lockdown period is a lot of young children come into the clinic taking online video consultations. Their parents afraid of the damage that could be caused because of viewing the screen for a long time. Not only the online classes, but there has been definite increase in viewing the tablets, the laptops, viewing YouTube, viewing other screens for a longer duration. So what are the symptoms that the child could complain of? The child could complain of eye fatigue. There could be a headache, complaints of double vision, dryness, blurring. You may see the child rubbing their eyes frequently, blinking, or sometimes watering of eyes. So this computer vision syndrome reduces their efficiency. It causes a lot of headache, and over a period of time, they would not like to sit in front of the computer. So definitely, this is one of the important things that a parent should look at while they are sitting in front of the computer viewing their online classes. So what I present here is an ideal setting. So we can see here the child using a tab or a phone or an iPad for viewing the screen. So I think this is something that we should not recommend. All the parents should keep in mind that a laptop or a desktop would be an ideal scenario where the child would be sitting at a one-arm distance from the laptop, and the screen is positioned in such a way that the screen is at the eye level, and the child is maintaining an upright sitting posture. this is going to be the new normal. As we have seen, the child is going to have online classes continuing for a longer time. So if we are not able to take care of these ideal settings, these ideal positions, then the child may develop some neck pain, some headache, some back pain, and then over a period of time, they might start developing other complications. The other thing that is important is the 20-20-20 rule. I think a lot of people must be aware of it. When we view a screen or a laptop or something like a phone which is closer to us for a longer time, the muscles in the eye start contracting. So when the muscles are contracted for a longer period of time, it results in eye pain, headache, and eye stress. So this 20-20-20 rule says that after every 20 minutes of screen viewing, we should look at an object which is 20 feet away, anywhere in the room. Maybe it's a clock on the wall, maybe it's a window, it's an air condition, anywhere 20 feet away for 20 seconds. So what it will do is it will relax the muscles. It will relax the muscles of the eye and help us to focus again. At the same time, it is important that we ask our children to blink frequently. Usually we blink around 10 to 20 times in a minute. But when we are watching something on the screen or something which is very interesting, the blinking rate reduces. So it is ideal that we continuously stress upon this to our children. So, and the other important thing is the proper lighting. So if the lighting is from behind or if the lighting is in from the front, there may be reflections on the screen. The child may not be able to view it properly. The child may have difficulty in viewing the screen, especially if it's at the night. Do not allow children to watch screens in the dark room. Make sure that the light is ambient, that the light is properly falling on the screen and on them, so that they do not have difficulty in viewing the screen. Share the screen brightness. It should not be too bright. It should not be too dark. An adequate ambient screen brightness between 40 to maybe 30 to 40% or 50% is adequate. There are multiple options which are available in the form of anti-glare or protective glasses, which have been known to help reduce the side effects on the eye. So there can be a film which can be an anti-glare film which can be placed over the laptop or the screen. There are blue protective glasses. Actually, the blue light which is emitted by these screens have been known to cause decrease in our sleep. There a change in our circadian rhythm. It helps, it reduces the energy. It causes a lot of tired eyes. So these anti-glare devices or these blue protective glasses have been found to be very useful for children. The guidelines which have been recommended by the American Academy of Pediatrics, I mean this updated screen time recommendation is 1.5 hours a day for children up to 5 years. So this 1.5 hours a day should not be as a total. It should be divided among say every 20 minutes or every half an hour. You can have gaps in between. This is the ideal time which has been recommended. For children up to 5 to 10 years of age, the time duration which is recommended is 1.5 to 2 hours. And for children above the age of 10 years, it is 2 hours. So apart from the online classes, the children may want to view YouTube. The children may want to see some movies over screen, over the laptop, over the TV. So we have to make sure that they are following this time. We have to make sure that the time is divided. We have to make sure that the kids do not exceed, or if at all they exceed, they are following the 20-20-20 rule, because most of the classes are being held online. So it is difficult for children and for the parents to maintain the timelines as given here. But then we can do the other necessary things which I have told before. Healthy diet, definitely. Apart from mental and social well-being as discussed, healthy diet is very, very important, especially healthy diet for their physical well-being, which may include vitamin C, vitamin A, carotenoids, antioxidants. So our normal diet that we have contains a lot of minerals, a lot of nutrients. We would not have to give them anything extra, any supplement, but just having a normal diet, a normal healthy diet is what is recommended. I have had a lot of questions asked by a lot of parents who come into the clinic asking about what is good for eye, what is not good for eye. But a normal healthy diet is sufficient. There is no exception or there is no extra thing, no supplement that we have to give for a healthy eye diet. So do not ignore if your child complains of any symptoms that I have mentioned: dry eye, itching, watering. Take professional help, ask the expert. Kids need complete examination. It's not easy for them to speak out. You have to see, you have to observe them. You have to make sure that they are not going into, they are not having some eye problem. So make sure that you observe them. And if at all there is any thing that worries you, that is worrying your child, take professional help. Future directions, this is not only for children, but I think it's equally important for all the teachers, all the fraternity who have been taking classes online. They have been doing a wonderful job. There can be definitely an improvement where there can be a recording of the classes, so the parents can get back, revise the schedules. A lot of other physical activities, a lot of other activities, suggestions have been given by the other panelists, and I think it is at most important that apart from mental and social well-being, physical well-being of children is also taken care. And I would like to thank Ms. Nain and the other teachers and the Birla High School management for giving the opportunity. If there are any questions, I would be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shah. Thank you so much. We will surely follow your valuable advice to keep our children safe and healthy. Now we will be taking a few questions. And my first question will be to Ma'am Sood. Ma'am, we have few questions from the parents and they want to know, how do working parents keep their child engaged during the pandemic?
Yeah, it is difficult, I know, for working parents because they have to see so many things. But I think here probably, if you don't have grandparents living with you, or if you're a nuclear family, then it becomes all the more a challenge. So if it is possible, let them take a little online help, if it is possible with or the best would be to engage them in activities like, puzzles. Their children love puzzles. So, and it is very settling activity for them also. So you can create a small little table or a small little space for them, which is entirely theirs, and have everything, all the materials readily available to them. Things for craft work, things for coloring, drawing, some books, or some puzzles or some board games. And when children do some board games also, these are also a kind of a challenge that they set for themselves, and they want to achieve the goal. So, and there are set step-by-step directions. So these kind of activities, they can help the child to keep engaged. Main thing is that you have to give them an environment, a prepared environment, a space. And if you think that the child can do it on his or her own and take things from wherever, whatever, so that becomes a little difficult, and the children also they become cranky, and then they come disturbing to the parents also. They come asking, what do I do? Where are my things? So set up that environment and let the child feel happy about it. I think this should help. If there is no other person to help you with it.
There is just another extension to this question, actually, that there is one parent who is busy, mother is busy, working parent, and father is away from Kolkata, maybe abroad. So, and mother is continuously giving a device to the child to keep him occupied. So, what is good about it and what is not good about it? How to address this?
I think here also perhaps screen time is increasing, and if she's giving the device, I'm sure she's feeling very guilty about it also. But sometimes these things cannot be helped. So instead of the child just being engaged with the device as such, what can be encouraged is that you can put on some music or some nursery rhymes on that device and ask, or even there are some very good dancing sites, where the child can look at those dancing steps and do the dance performance. So that you can ask the child, why don't you practice this dance? And then later on, that could be a performance which can be showed to grandparents online, or can be shared with other friends also, or even some play dates can be set up with friends online. So then children are doing activities even while watching screen. Like here I'll give my example of my granddaughter. So what my granddaughters they do, they set up these play dates. The parents set up the play dates with the children. So they while being on the screen, they are playing games like going scavenger hunting in the house. So I know they concoct and they do their own, they play their own games. So perhaps these kind of activities parents can think of, because since it is something which, it's difficult for the child difficult for the parent to overcome that situation. So if you have to deal with the situation and make it into a healthy activity.
Right, ma'am. Yes, the activity must be an active one and not a passive one, actually. That's what you mean to say. That like when they're dancing also, then the physical activity is coming up over there, and that will actually helping the child rather than the screen time that is,
Yes. So not just
not
being
so
a
helpful.
passive learner, so along with a little bit of screen time, they can do some
Right.
physical activities as well.
Thank you so much. I think parents, so that is really helpful to all of you. And now I'm following the order and moving on to Mrs. Roy. Mrs. Roy, the next question is for you. How does one deal with hyperactive child and who is also very stubborn?
A child who is, first of all, let me tell you, nowadays the number of hyperactivity children has increased. Okay. In a classroom, we find many children who are restless. Let us not label them by saying that my child is hyperactive. That is the first thing. Children are active, particularly children of this age, right? We will not say call a child hyperactive until and unless the child has been diagnosed as hyperactive. This is number one. Secondly, if your child is restless, your child has lots of energy, you have to channelize his energy in the right way. Okay. So I will take you back to the routine part, the schedule. A child will become disruptive, will become destructive only if the child does not know what to do. Okay. And if we as parents, as caregivers, focus on that particular action. Supposing a child is jumping on the bed, okay, shouting and jumping on the bed, and you don't want the child to do it. What does the caregiver say? Mat karo, utro, try and change the sentence. Tell the child what the child should do instead of telling the child what he should not do. Because the more you tell the child, ye mat karo, don't do it, the child will do it. Okay, because that is getting reinforced. Distract the child. Beta, come quickly and see. Distract the child, take the child to a window that is overlooking the road maybe, and focus should be on something else. And your baby is small, just take him, on your lap and distract the child. This is one option. Second, if you have a routine, the child knows what is expected to be done. Distraction, disruptive behavior lowers when the child knows, okay, now I have my online class. After online class, I'm supposed to eat. After that, I will play. I will have my bath. So there is an order. The child is in control of himself. The child knows what he has to do. And disruption becomes less. Now, the third thing, if you know your child is restless, has lots of energy, involve him in physical activity. Okay, tell him, run and ask Papa what he would like to play in the evening with you. Is it a board game, or you will go to the terrace if possible? If not, you will play in the balcony. So that running, okay, will give vent to his excess energy. You can encourage your child to play. Mrs. Sood spoke about teddy bear, turn around. That is another game, okay? The child is learning many things. Involve your child, okay? You can give him a mopping stick, and children at this age loves to do all this kind of activity. Once he becomes an adolescent, he will not do. I can give it to you in writing, okay? So now is the time to teach your child all the skills that are age appropriate. Okay, give him a mop, wet the cloth, ask him to mop one area of the room. He will do it. Okay, and another thing that you can do is all the skills that are age appropriate. At this age, your child can take his plate and put it in the sink. Make him do it. Your child can keep his towel properly, neatly, hang it properly. Make him do it. Your child can keep all his toys in the toy corner after he has played a game. Make him do it. So skill learning can be taught during this lockdown phase. And because your child is seeing you working, your husband working, he will participate. He will cooperate. So let this be a V activity. Okay? And if you do all this, there will be less of a problem. And parents, one request, don't use this term hyperactive.
Okay, ma'am, thank you so much. So that's hop, skip, run, jump. Let's have some fun. That's what the parents should do with the children. And I have some more questions for you coming up. How do we react to children when they ask, when will they go back to school? Mama, school kab khulega? So how to answer that?
I had told you, you don't have an answer for everything, you know. So sit with your, pretend, actually, beta, you know, we are getting tired. Emote within limitation. You know, you want to go back to school now, even I want to go to work. If you're a working mother, if not, say, even I want the maid to come and help me, or even I want to go out to Nani's place, to my friend's place. Kab hoga, you know, ye kab band hoga, you know, and then say, let us see, you know, they are saying ki very soon things will become normal. So let us pray to God, okay? Inculcate the praying habit. You know, if you have an altar in your house, if you don't have, deep breathing meditation. While doing deep breathing meditation, just one line, keep everybody safe and let this lockdown come to an end soon. We can only wish for it. Okay, so positivity and things over which you have no control, you don't have to be the superwoman and give an answer.
This almost answers the last question too, ma'am. How to develop patience in children? So of course, praying, meditation, all these are practices. And any more suggestions that can come from you?
Role model.
Role model.
Okay, if you are showing your child that you are impatient, how you are handling when you are upset. Okay, for example, when I'm upset or I'm very angry, if I shout, then the child learns, okay, so this is the method to handle anger or impatience. But if I verbalize and I say, I'm so angry, okay, I'm so angry because this has happened. So it is acceptable. Anger is a feeling. If I can be happy, I can be angry. What is wrong is what I'm doing when I'm angry. So I can tell, yes, I'm angry because, you know, whatever has happened. Let me go and sit in one room, be by myself for a little while. I will come back and talk to you, or I will finish my work after 2 minutes. And then you physically move out to another room. Maybe you go to the washroom, you just splash some water, you have a glass of water. The child is observing you. Every now and then, the child is picking bits and pieces from the environment. The child will learn to handle his anger, his impatience in the right way.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. And now I will move on to Dr. Shah. We have a few questions for you, sir, too. Parents are asking frequent rubbing of eyes and itchy eyes. The children are having those problems. They're rubbing their eyes and the eyes are itching and all. So is it due to more screen time, or is it just a normal eye problem that children tend to have?
Answering your question, there are two things to this. One, initially the children, when they start sitting in front of the screens or the laptops, they enjoy it, and they tend to watch the screen for a longer time without blinking. So that is one of the major reasons why they have this. Usually, as I told, between 10 and 20 times is the normal frequency of blinking that we have. And when we are watching something interesting, all of us, it is not only children, all of us, when we are watching something interesting, the blinking reduces. So this is one of the reasons that they may have dryness of eyes, which results in itching. The other thing that could also be is they are having difficulty in viewing the screen, which could be because of some power. I mean, they might be needing glasses. That is why they blink, they rub their eyes, try and adapt themselves in sitting in front of the laptop or the screen. They do so as to draw attention of the parents. So if they are having this kind of problem, I think it is better to take a professional help and take them to an eye specialist so that they can be checked.
Okay, so you recommend a professional help if it's that acute a problem.
Yeah, yes, definitely.
Okay. And then, sir, can you just tell us mobile watching during meals, like watching any kind of thing and especially handling mobile a gadget during meals, how far it is okay, advisable for small children? Is it okay, or it is not at all okay?
No, definitely it is not okay. See, I also have two small kids, and in nursery, LKG. So I also try and divert their attention. So what practice that we follow and what I would recommend is also that maybe we can sit down with them with some kind of puzzles. We can sit down with them with some kind of games. Some kind of, as ma'am said, some Ludo, snakes and ladders. Involve them, divert their attention so that it is easier for you to feed them. Mobile watching, viewing the screen continuously, having food definitely is not.
Yes, ma'am, Roy, we will call you.
Definitely not going to help them. Rather, it is just going to increase their screen time.
Yes.
Tell them that you have your meal, you finish your meal, you play your activity, complete your meal, and then I will give you an allocated time of 10 minutes to watch the screen. That is what is going to help them finish their meal as well as have their...
As an incentive.
Yes.
Will work as an incentive.
That is a kind of incentive that you can give them. I think that is what I have been following, and that is what I do with my...
You do the same. Yeah. Yes, ma'am, Roy wants to say something regarding this also. We want to listen to ma'am Roy.
Whatever doctor said, the last point, I wanted to tell that, encourage the child to finish his meal, and then mobile for 10 minutes can be the incentive. That is number one. Number two, family meal together helps. If everybody sits and eats, then the child learns table manners, the child learns to converse, to communicate meaningfully, the child picks, conversation skills. So, one meal together if you can have. storytelling
Very
instead
important.
of mobile.
Yes.
Storytelling. Let the mother share about her childhood days or tell a story to the child. Giving the mobile is helpful to the parent. Bachcha kha leta hai fatafat. So if you give, so it is serving our purpose, not the child.
Yes.
Okay, so instead of the mobile, you tell a nice story. Okay, and he will, listen to you.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much,
And
ma'am.
and another thing, one parent had written that her daughter is in Sushila Birla Girls School, class 5. And ma'am must be knowing, before the summer vacation, we had forwarded some guidelines to take care of eyes, what doctor said, 20-20-20 rule, and many more. So she can share it with the parents over here.
Okay. We will check that out also. Thank you, ma'am. And sir, one more question for you. Is using projector for watching videos recommended? Like usually we don't use projector to watch videos and all. So how far it is recommended? And I will just tag the next question along with it also. Is it advisable to give blue lens to kids during screen usage, even though he or he doesn't have any power, or he's just okay? Is it always advisable to give a blue screen to children?
Okay, so answering the first question, I think it is not recommended, or it is because the screen is, you need to have a lot of space between, or the
Yes.
gap between the projector, the screen and yourself. So the distance would not be adequate. Number two, there will be a lot of reflections. The child may have difficulty in focusing a particular point. They may try and search a lot of things if the projector screen is big. So that will decrease their focus. So I would suggest anything like a desktop or a laptop at a distance of 1 arm, sufficient for any online classes or online viewing. Answering your second question, if the child is not wearing glasses, you may put a filter, which is the anti-glare filter, in front of the screen or the laptop.
Okay.
That will solve the problem. But it is not only for children, but it is also for adults. So people who are on laptop screen, IT professionals. So if they can do the filtering or the anti-glare coating in front of the screen, which is quite easily available, it will help them. And if they are wearing glasses, you can always opt for a blue filter glass.
Not only IT professionals, sir, we teachers are glued to the screen now 24/7.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And the last and final question goes to Ma'am Sood once again.
Yeah.
How to get such young children to sit for the online classes?
I know it's a very difficult thing actually. So we have to increase their attention span, and it's okay if the child just wants to get up and have a little round. Not really possible for them to sit on their seats, but certain things can be looked at. Sometimes it's a sensorial need of the child. If you have to see that the child is sitting in a very comfortable position, a lot of things have been said by Dr. Shah, and those things are important, that we ensure that the setting is proper. And sometimes it can be a little uncomfortable chair or a stool which is probably hindering for the child to sit longer. So ensure that there is a cushion and the environment is okay for the child. And even if you don't get 100% attention, I think it's just okay. It's the connection that is more important. The connection between the teacher and the child. For the child to see the teacher online, for the child to see his friends online. I think more than learning, more than classes, this is what we have to look at this age. And then for certain action, for certain activities which we can do to increase their attention span. So as I suggested, puzzles and board games. So, those kind of games where winning goals are set. So along with the parents, those games like snakes and ladders. So those games can be played so the child knows that he has to achieve a certain goal. then there are those directions. Even in household chores, we have so many directions to give. So when the child is helping you for laying the table, so when you are giving directions, the child is learning to listen, the child is learning to adapt, and the child's attention span is increasing. So I would suggest to the parents, so these kind of activities, they can do it, and then probably the child will learn to sit also in one place for a longer time. And as I suggested before, have a little table for him, or have a little space for him where he can sit and do his own activities. And even for the online classes, the child should be, there should be a designated space. Not that one day he's sitting on the bed and other day he's sitting in another space and trying to do his online classes. So when he is in a prepared environment, and when he is in that kind of surrounding which is comfortable for him, then the attention span should also increase.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And that was an extremely enriching session. I'm sure our parents are now equipped and empowered to nurture Generation Z. Before we call it a day, I would like to invite Ma'am Singh to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Sanjukta. Good afternoon to everyone. I would like to begin by extending a huge thank you to our esteemed panelists who have found the time out of their very busy schedule to be here with us today on this webinar. And it's true when it's said that there is no end to learning. And today, I think not only the parents, but even we as teachers have learned so much thanks to our panelists. Thank you very much once again for being here with us today. Thank you, parents, for your continuous support. And we do hope that you're all feeling empowered now to deal with not only online classes, but also your children at home. And we at Birla High School believe in making learning a happy experience. Our children learn, we learn with them. They grow, we grow. With that note, let's continue to march together towards tomorrow. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day. Stay safe.